Rams fan, training camp is officially underway, and this is the time of year when careers can completely change in just a few practices. Every snap matters, every mistake gets noticed, and not everyone wearing a Rams jersey today will still be here when Week 1 arrives. What's making this camp so fascinating is that there are several players fighting for much more than just a roster spot. Some are trying to keep their starting jobs, some are battling to prove they belong in Los Angeles, and others could be watching their entire future with this franchise hang in the balance. The competition feels more intense than it has in years, and the pressure inside this building is absolutely real. Behind the scenes, there are position battles, tough roster decisions coming, and even conversations about bringing in outside help that could completely shake things up. So today we're breaking down which Rams players are under the most pressure in training camp, who has the most to lose, and why the next few weeks could change the direction of this team heading into the season. Before we jump into all of that, if you're a real Rams fan and you believe this team has what it takes to make another Super Bowl run, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. I'm Jake, this is Rams House Daily, and we're still a brand new community trying to reach our very first 100 subscribers. If you want to be part of this channel from the very beginning and talk Rams football every single day, you're in the right place. Training camp always creates winners and losers, but this year it feels like there are more important battles than ever for the Rams. A recent survey of hundreds of Rams fans asked one simple question over and over in different ways. Who is under the most pressure? The answers paint a really interesting picture of how this fan base views the roster heading into one of the biggest camps Sean McVay has had in years. Let's start with linebacker, because this was one of the strongest opinions from Rams fans. When fans were asked which current starter is most likely to lose his job during training camp, Omar Speights received by far the most votes, with 42%. In comparison, 33% of fans actually believed nobody would lose a starting role. Colby Parkinson finished with 14%, Braden Fisk received 9%, and Warren McClendon barely registered at 2%. That tells you something. Fans clearly believe the biggest competition is happening at linebacker, and honestly, it's not hard to understand why. Speights isn't just trying to defend his position against one player. He's dealing with legitimate competition from Sean Dolac, Grant Stewart, and several linebackers who are pushing for more playing time every single practice. The coaching staff has options, and when there are multiple players producing, nobody's job is guaranteed. Even more interesting was another survey question, asking which unexpected player could become one of training camp's biggest surprises. The top answer was Nikhai Hill-Green with 28% of the vote. Behind him came wide receiver Brennan Presley with 21%. The other category received 16%. Defensive lineman Tim Keenan III earned 15%. Safety Alex Cook finished with 13%. Guard Bill Murray had 3%, and quarterback Matthew Caldwell received 2%. That says fans aren't just worried about Speights. They genuinely believe Hill-Green has a chance to force his way into the conversation. Maybe not only for this season, but possibly as an important piece of this defense going forward. But while Speights may be under pressure to keep his starting role, at least most fans still expect him to make the team. Not everyone received that kind of confidence. When fans were asked which player could become the biggest surprise cut before the regular season, tight end Davis Allen was the overwhelming choice. Allen received 42% of the vote. Even nobody only finished at 29%. Cornerback Emmanuel Forbes and rookie running back Yarquez Hunter each received 10%. Jordan Whittington came in at 7%, and kicker Harrison Mevis barely appeared with 1%. Looking at the current depth chart, you can understand the concern. If Tyler Higbee, Terrence Ferguson, Colby Parkinson, and Max Clare all remain on the roster, Davis Allen could realistically find himself fifth among the tight ends. That's an incredibly difficult position to survive when NFL teams have to reduce their roster to just 53 players. And if that happens, it's very possible another team would immediately claim him. But according to Rams fans, there's one player facing even more pressure than anyone else on this roster. That player is Stetson Bennett. This wasn't even close. When fans were asked which player has the most to lose during training camp, Bennett received an incredible 61% of all votes. Jordan Whittington followed with 30%. Braden Fisk received 5%. Kyren Williams finished with 4%. That's an overwhelming statement from the fan base. The quarterback competition behind Matthew Stafford has become one of the biggest storylines of camp. Bennett isn't simply competing for the backup job anymore. He's competing for his NFL future. The Rams invested heavily in Ty Simpson by selecting him in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft. That immediately changed the conversation around the quarterback room. If Bennett can't convince Sean McVay that he deserves to be Stafford's primary backup, fans are wondering whether another team would even view him as a developmental quarterback. Despite that pressure, there have been encouraging words from inside the locker room. Puka Nacua recently said Bennett has always played with confidence, something that could become extremely important over the next few weeks. Still, confidence alone won't decide this battle. Performance will. And if Bennett struggles, some fans even believe the Rams could sign a veteran quarterback to sit ahead of Ty Simpson, creating an even bigger obstacle for Bennett's future. Quarterback isn't the only position where outside additions remain a possibility. One of the most interesting questions in the survey asked which available free agent would help the Rams the most. The answer wasn't even close. Offensive tackle Taylor Decker received 51% of the vote. Stephon Diggs finished with 15%. Deebo Samuel received 14%. Bobby Wagner earned 13%. Joey Bosa finished with 6%. Why are Rams fans so focused on offensive tackle? Because there's genuine concern about that position. A.J. Jackson has been dealing with blood clots and rested during camp, creating uncertainty even though no suspension has occurred. That situation has made many fans wonder whether Les Snead should bring in an experienced veteran like Taylor Decker to provide immediate stability and insurance. Of course, that kind of move wouldn't come cheap. Depending on the contract, signing Decker could cost somewhere in the range of $15 to $20 million, making it one of the biggest financial decisions the Rams could make this summer. And there's another layer to all of this. There are still rumors that Aaron Donald could potentially come out of retirement. If something like that were ever to happen, managing the salary cap would become even more complicated. Those concerns showed up again when fans were asked which position worries them the most entering the season. 43% chose offensive tackle, 30% selected linebacker, 16% worried about wide receiver depth, 8% chose other positions. Only 3% pointed to center. So while fans are watching several position battles throughout camp, protecting Matthew Stafford remains the biggest concern. Interestingly though, offensive tackle wasn't considered the most entertaining battle to follow. When fans voted on the most exciting competition in training camp, wide receiver number 3 easily won with 46%. The tight end competition followed at 31%. Linebacker number 2 received 20%. Edge depth finished with only 3%. Honestly, you could even argue quarterback number 2 deserved to be on that list because the Bennett versus Ty Simpson storyline might end up becoming one of the defining stories of camp. Finally, one more player stood out. When fans were asked who has the most to prove, that player was Terrence Ferguson. He received 36% of the vote. Ty Simpson followed with 22%. Jarquez Hunter earned 21%. Stetson Bennett received 18%. Everyone else combined accounted for just 2%. This feels like a huge season for Ferguson. Entering his second year, expectations naturally increase. The Rams invested in him because they believe he can become an important part of Sean McVay's offense, but eventually, potential has to become production. If Ferguson establishes himself as a consistent contributor, the Rams' investment looks smart. If he doesn't, legitimate questions about his long-term future with the organization will only become louder. And that's really what makes this training camp so compelling. Every practice matters. Some players are fighting to keep starting jobs. Others are trying to avoid being released. Some are attempting to prove they deserve a larger role. Others are simply fighting to keep their NFL careers alive. There's another interesting angle to all of this as well. According to another report from Clutch Points, 3 Rams stand out as notable cut candidates entering training camp. The first is Colby Parkinson. Even after leading Rams tight ends last season with 43 receptions, 408 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns, Parkinson has consistently appeared in off-season trade and cut discussions. The financial side plays a major role here. Moving on from him would save approximately $5.5 million against the salary cap. Meanwhile, Tyler Higbee remains the trusted veteran, while Terrence Ferguson and Max Clare represent the younger future at the position. That leaves Parkinson in an awkward middle ground where he still has value, but his cap hit and the team's long-term plans could work against him. The second cut candidate is Stetson Bennett, reinforcing just how much pressure he's under. Matthew Stafford is still playing at an elite level after his MVP season, and the Rams made it clear they are thinking about the future by drafting Ty Simpson with the 13th overall pick. Bennett has yet to take a regular season snap, and with many NFL teams only carrying 2 quarterbacks, his path to making the final roster has become much more difficult. The third player mentioned is Emmanuel Forbes. The Rams dramatically upgraded their secondary by adding Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, two cornerbacks who bring championship experience from Kansas City. Those additions pushed Forbes further down the depth chart, although he started 14 games last season after arriving from Washington. The Rams already declined his fifth-year option, meaning he is scheduled to become a free agent after the season. His aggressive style can create turnovers, but it also comes with risks, and the coaching staff may prefer more consistent coverage players while relying on Myles Garrett to generate pressure up front. When you step back and look at everything together, one thing becomes obvious. This roster is loaded with talent. Matthew Stafford is coming off an MVP season. Puka Nacua and Davante Adams give the Rams one of the most dangerous receiving duos in football. Myles Garrett completely changes what this defense can be, and there's still speculation surrounding a possible Aaron Donald return. But having a talented roster also means tough decisions. Good players are going to lose jobs. Good players are going to get cut. Some veterans may be replaced by younger players, and some young players will finally prove they belong. That's exactly what training camp is supposed to do. As Rams fans, it's exciting because these competitions should make the team stronger. But it's also difficult because we've watched many of these players work incredibly hard just to earn their opportunity. Over the next few weeks, every practice, every preseason snap, and every roster decision is going to matter. Sean McVay and Les Snead have some incredibly difficult choices ahead, and those decisions could play a huge role in whether this team is truly ready to make another Super Bowl run. Now, I want to hear from you. Which Rams player do you think is under the most pressure right now? Is it Stetson Bennett fighting for his NFL future? Omar Speights trying to hold on to his starting job? Terrence Ferguson looking to break out? Or someone else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I know Rams fans are going to have plenty of opinions on this one. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to Rams House Daily. We're still a brand new channel chasing our first 100 subscribers. And if you believe this Rams team has what it takes to compete for another Super Bowl, we'd love to have you join the community from the very beginning. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.